motivational playlists, motivational videos, motivational books, motivational speakers, motivational. It's one of those words that it's one of those words that in today's world, you find it very much hard to escape. But what actually do we mean by motivation? This is what we're going to be talking about today. But we're not going to talk about just any type of motivation, because we think it can be divided into two types. If you search up on Google or ChatGPT, as is now the fashion, you'll probably be faced with a definition of motivation being a reason or reasons for acting or behaving in a particular way. But that's not the motivation we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the other type of motivation, the more abstract type that refers to that feeling, right? That feeling that compels you to do something. It is the type of motivation that when someone fails to do something, they say, I just wasn't motivated. Because if you ask them, it is very likely they have a reason why they should have done whatever it is that they should have done. But they didn't do it because what they were lacking was that force. What they were lacking was that feeling. Well, why is this feeling so important? It's because this feeling determines whether or not you take action. And on a larger scale, whether or not you see changes, you see progress, you see success in your life.
I feel like motivation has become both this umbrella term for anything that makes you go and do what you're supposed to, as well as one of the biggest excuses for not actually taking productive action in today's world. So many people bring a lack of motivation as an excuse for not taking action, whereas in a way it may be true depending on your exact definition for it. But here in this episode, we would like to argue that according to one definition of motivation, that is not the reason at all, and it is rather a lack of clarity that makes you not take the proper action. And on the other hand, there are clear things that you can do to increase this feeling within you. And here at Wayy, we are of course all about plan-based living. A plan is one of the greatest tools for building motivation that there is in the world. A lack of motivation often comes from two things. One, just a lack of energy and a bad current situation. And two, a lack of clarity, a lack of understanding, and a lack of this feeling of knowing that what you do, your actions can actually move you closer to where you want to be. Because ultimately, mostly when we mean motivation, when we talk about motivation, what we mean is this feeling that makes us know that if we go and if we take that action, if we push just a bit further, we can get the result that we want. That comes from clarity. And what's the best tool for building clarity in your life? It's a plan. Because a plan clearly maps out how your goals can be achieved by simple actions, by actions that take you an hour, 10 minutes, 15 minutes to do. Every day, step by step, you can move closer to it. The clear picture that a plan provides you is so invaluable for growing and cultivating this feeling inside of you, where you know that yes, if I go and I do that thing, if I push just a bit further, if I put that extra hour of effort in today, this is exactly the part of the things that I need to do in order to move closer to my goal that it helps me achieve. And thereby, this action that I'm doing is basically me achieving my goal. We bring the philosophical argument here that in a certain sense, if you think about the goal as being a collection of all the things that you need to do in order to achieve it, every single step that you take in the direction of a goal is already achieving it. You don't just achieve a goal when you finally get that gold medal in the Olympics. No, you achieve a goal with every single step that you take, every single training that you do, because a goal is not in any way possibly separated from the actions that it takes to move you closer to it. And that is how a plan helps you get motivation, by showing you that yes, your goal really is achievable. It really is. There is a clear path towards it, and your actions are a part of it. And so you can feel every day like you're achieving your goal already. And what could be more motivating than that? But on the other hand, there's also a different sort of theory of motivation that suggests that motivation isn't a thing that makes you take action, but rather action is the thing that grows motivation, the other way around. And why can it be useful to look at motivation like this is that if we keep waiting and expecting for some feeling of motivation to come and make us do action, we are always at the feeling controls us. And as we know, we don't control our feelings. Our feelings come and go. They are fluid and they are sort of not under our conscious control. If we let ourselves be controlled by something as uncontrollable as a feeling, something that is completely different to our conscious and rational mind, we cannot trust ourselves to always take the right course of action. That is why it makes sense to reprogram yourself to think that what drives me to take action isn't this feeling of motivation. It's the knowledge of what the right action to take is. It's the clarity of, if I take this action, this is going to move me closer to my goals. And what else can I do if I know exactly the right thing to do? If you reprogram your mind to understand that it is clarity that makes you take the right action, not necessarily this feeling of motivation, you bring it into the realm of rationality. You bring it into the realm of the conscious mind. You bring it into a realm where you can build yourself a plan, give yourself the clarity, write out exactly what it is that you have to do today, and just go and do it, because there is no other thing to do if you have written out exactly what the right things are for you to do to move you closer to your goals. And that feeling of motivation that all of us crave so much and think we need as a precursor in order before we can start taking action, that feeling actually comes as a result of taking action. So the order doesn't go get motivation magically and then go take action. No, the order goes build clarity through building a plan, then take action because you have no other option. You blot your calendar out to take the right actions because as a part of building your plan. And then you get the feeling of motivation as you see your actions moving closer to your goal. And then it only grows from there. It will give you a boost and it will just keep going. But say, there's sort of two types of motivation, aren't there? There's extrinsic motivation, something that comes from outside of us, and there is intrinsic motivation. Why don't you tell us a bit more about those?
Yeah. So there are two types of motivation. If we take the first definition of motivation, which we provided at the start, which is a reason for doing something. So intrinsic motivation is the type that comes from a reason that comes from within yourself. So you exercise because you yourself know it to be good, because you tell yourself, okay, I will become stronger, I will become healthier, right? And intrinsic motivation contrasts to extrinsic motivation, which, if you follow, if you think about it logically, it means that it's the reason for doing something comes from outside. So it comes from people telling you that this is good, people telling you that this is something to do. So like, oh, you should work out because everyone else works out. You should work out because you will become healthy and strong. Note that these types of motivations, they can be both positive and negative. What matters is where they come from. Do they come from without? Do they come from within?
And for the vast majority of people, our lives are guided by extrinsic motivation that comes from someone else. We are born and motivation comes from our parents who threaten to punish us if we do the wrong thing, who promise to reward us if we behave how they want us to behave. Then we grow a bit older and we go to school. And now our teachers are telling us, if you get this answer right, we will give you a good grade. If you get it wrong, we will punish you. If you say these things, you get rewarded. If you say these bad things, you get punished. Always, it's somewhere else telling us what to do. So at first, it's parents, then it's teachers, then it's the boss who's telling you, yes, if you do that, you get more bonuses. If you do that, you get less bonuses. Ultimately, the whole of society in some way is one big external motivator telling us, yes, if you do these things, you get rewarded with being able to survive. If you do these things, you get punished by not being able to survive. We don't give you money. We don't give you the things that you need to eat to stay warm, etc. And the thing is that it has been scientifically proven that intrinsic motivation is more useful for actually getting a person to go and do things, for actually getting a person to go and take action. Even though intrinsic motivation has been proven to be more forceful, actually drives you more efficiently towards action, most of us live our lives just only based on intrinsic motivation. Why is that? Because intrinsic motivation is a skill. It's a skill, and most importantly, it's a choice. It's a choice of saying, I am going to build it. Because intrinsic motivation, as I talked about in the previous part, you cannot just get intrinsic motivation coming from within by simply waiting around for it and hoping that it falls from the sky. No, from the sky will come external motivation. Motivation where someone else tells you, if you don't do that, I'm going to take your food. That is going to come, but that's not the type that you really want to live a happy and fulfilling life. What you really want is to have the motivation come from within and to guide you towards your ideal future without being forced into any path for fear of punishment. This intrinsic motivation comes from clarity, the type of clarity that the plan provides. By seeing exactly what are the right things to do in order to move closer to your goals, in order to move closer to achieving them, you can achieve such clarity that the only logical thing to do that is remaining is to go and take that action. And that is intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is knowing, is having defined for yourself what it is that you want and what you have to do to get it, and then going and doing it. Intrinsic motivation, ultimately, I believe, is the feeling that results from having clarity that you define for yourself, of having your own path, of having your own way. But even though you can have all of the things that you need to do defined for yourself, even though you can have your own way in front of you, you cannot do everything at once. Sevi, what is the key to actually taking all of those actions that you need to get done in order to move closer to your goal and choosing what to do right now?
Well, the key is prioritization.
Mm-hmm.
The key is having some sort of decision model or system or way by which you decide from a bunch of actions, what do I do now? And actually, your plan can be seen as providing this exact decision model. Because if you create a plan according to, say, the Wayy process in which you visually map out your goals, your sub-goals, then you can then, in the moment when you're thinking, okay, what do I do now? You can look at your plan and think, okay, these are my priorities. What your plan enables you to do is see your priorities clearly, which helps you make the decision, what do I do now? I mean, of course, it isn't just about a plan. There are so many more things to this decision model. And these could be things such as thinking, okay, I have my plan. These are my priorities. What can I do in the moment, right? What can I do given my current situation? What can I do given my current energy levels, right? That is another part of the decision model that helps you prioritize, that helps you decide what you're doing now. And I think prioritization is key to enabling you to harness that motivation, that force to getting things done, because it enables you to better decide what to do so that you don't waste your energy, waste your time thinking, oh, what do I do now?
Because ultimately, you have a limited amount of energy and time. And the best way to get things done is to direct that energy and time towards one focus. Now, that focus you decide through the act of prioritization. Of course, if you already have a bunch of things listed out in terms of what you need to get done in order to move closer to your goals, or what you need to get done in general for that matter, that is already one step forward. But without going through the process of prioritization, it is very hard to actually make that list useful in any way, because you need to always choose one thing for one moment to be working on. And don't come, there's someone who is in the comments saying, no, but I can multitask, I can do 5 things at once. No, that is simply fundamentally false. Even if you do think that you're quote unquote multitasking, you're still at least doing very fast focusing between things, because at one moment you can only truly be doing one thing. You can only be pressing one button. You can only be taking one action, either moving this hand or maybe both together. But that's also debatable if you're doing it at exactly the same time. But without getting that fundamental about it, you can have a bunch of things that you need to get done, but without organizing them according to a purpose, according to what your goal is, it is very hard to go through the process of prioritization and actually choose your focus. And in the Wayy methodology, we also have these concepts of the daily focus and of the weekly focus, of what you want to be focusing on getting done this week and what you want to be focusing on getting done today. And you use these focuses in order to guide yourself through the invariably a lot of things that you need to do in order to achieve any of your big goals in life. But the benefit of having a plan is that, one, as we said, it provides you with the motivation through giving you clarity and showing you that, yes, the things that you are doing can move you closer to where you want to be. And they are moving you closer if you track your progress and you reflect, as we discussed in another episode. But also, a plan provides you with the ability to do good prioritization, to choose the correct focus, because you can look at the big picture and can say, okay, I know that I need to get these 5 high-level goals achieved in order to live the life that I want to live. Now, all of the little actions that achieving them, that I need to do in order to achieve them, how can I order them in the best way? You have a list, you have this list ordered according to the goal. You know that this goal you care about more than this goal, so you can give more weight to these actions. And we will link to a more specific explanation of this weighing mechanism of how to make these decisions down below, because we don't want to get too technical here on the podcast. But what I would like to finish on is the fact that both motivation and focus come from a plan tree, ultimately, a plan is the tool that helps you have the clarity needed, feel like your actions are moving you closer to your goals, which provides motivation. And a plan is also the tool that allows you to then, after you have the motivation and go and to do the things, to actually choose the right thing to focus on at any given moment. And so, what conclusion do we get to? If you are tired of living your life according to extrinsic motivation, of someone telling you, I'm going to punish you or I'm going to reward you, and you feel like you would instead prefer to have this motivation, this drive come from the inside. If you're tired of living your life according to someone else's way, and you feel that it is time to live your life your way, then the best thing you can do is build a plan. And that is why we're building Wayy, to help you do that as easily and as frictionless as possible, with as little effort and sacrifice as possible from your side, as fast as possible, to help you achieve all your biggest goals. Live your life your way.
All right, that's it for this week. Thank you very much for listening. Be sure to check out our social media pages and website, links in the description, for more on how you can live your life your way. Also, if you felt that you gained something from this episode, whether it be a small insight or transcendental, reality-shaping piece of enlightenment, then feel free to share this episode with your friends, family, whoever it may be, for there is no better gift than that of a good idea. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.